Hello aspirants, my name is Drishti Jain and I welcome you to the series of घटना सूत्र। मैं सबसे पहले अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करती हूँ। मैं और मेरी यूपीएससी की दोस्ती काफ़ी पुरानी है। मैंने 3 सीएसई के मेंस और 2 फॉरेस्ट के मेंस और 2 इंटरव्यू दिए हुए हैं यूपीएससी में। मैं इस घटना सूत्र सीरीज़ में अपना पूरा एक्सपीरियंस आपके साथ शेयर करने की कोशिश करूँगी और किस तरीके से किस चीज़ को पढ़ा और याद किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि यूपीएससी में पढ़ाई तो सभी करते हैं लेकिन सही तरीके से और सही गाइडेंस के साथ पढ़ाई करना सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है। इस वीडियो में हम PT365 डिस्कस करेंगे जो कि काफ़ी क्रिस्प और कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव होगा, जो प्रीलिम्स के लिए इनफ और सफिशिएंट होगा। मेरी कोशिश रहेगी कि बहुत ही कम समय में आपका ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा करंट अफेयर्स बहुत अच्छी तरीके से रिवाइज हो जाए। एंड सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ हम साथ ही ट्राई करेंगे कि उसका स्टैटिक से लिंकेज और लास्ट 10 ईयर्स के प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन डिस्कस करेंगे। आप बस इस वीडियो को 3 से 4 बार अच्छे से देख लीजिए एंड आई एम श्योर कि आपका पूरा करंट अफेयर्स पीटी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अच्छे से हो जाएगा। तो बिना देरी किए चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट PT365। हेलो एस्पिरेंट्स, वेलकम टू द नेक्स्ट वीडियो ऑफ घटना सूत्र, जहाँ पे हम एनवायरमेंट की पीटी डील कर रहे थे। द नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज रामसर साइट्स। Recently, new wetlands from India were added to the Ramsar site, taking the total number of sites to 85. तो कितने हो गए हैं? 85 हो गए हैं। अब अबाउट द साइट्स हम पढ़ेंगे। सबसे पहले नागी एंड नक्टी बर्ड सेंचुरी, बिहार। बोथ आर man-made reservoirs, Nagi Dam and Nakti Dam, and feature dry deciduous forests surrounded by hills. Although Nagi lies in the Gangetic plains of India, it has landscape reminiscent of the Deccan Plateau. They are recognized as an important bird and biodiversity area by BirdLife International. Najrayan Bird Sanctuary, Tamil Nadu. Najrayan Lake, a large shallow wetland named after the king Najrayan, who has restored and repaired it. It depends on heavy rainflow from the Nallar drainage. Kazuveli Bird Sanctuary, Tamil Nadu. Brackish shallow lake located on Coromandel coast in the north of Puducherry. Connected to Bay of Bengal by brackish Uppukalli Creek and Yedayantu Estuary. Lies in the Central Asian flyway of migratory species. Tawa Reservoir, मध्य प्रदेश में है, लोकेटेड इनसाइड सतपुरा टाइगर रिजर्व एंड बॉर्डर्स सतपुरा नेशनल पार्क एंड बोरी वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी, कंस्ट्रक्टेड एट द कॉन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ तवा एंड देनवा रिवर्स। अब वेटलैंड्स के बारे में पढ़ते हैं। एरिया ऑफ लैंड दैट इज सैचुरेटेड विथ वाटर। वेटलैंड मस्ट मीट एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ द 9 क्राइटेरिया। तो कितने? एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ द 9 क्राइटेरिया, लाइक रेगुलरली सपोर्ट्स 20,000 और मोर वाटर बर्ड्स और कंजर्विंग बायोलॉजिकल डाइवर्सिटी एक्सेट्रा। तो क्या है? 9 क्राइटेरिया दिए गए हैं रामसर में, उसमें से एटलीस्ट एक क्राइटेरिया को फुलफिल करना चाहिए। सिग्निफिकेंस क्या है? बायोडाइवर्सिटी हॉटस्पॉट। वेटलैंड्स कवर ओनली 6% ऑफ द अर्थ सर्फेस बट सपोर्ट अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 40% ऑफ द ग्लोबल बायोडाइवर्सिटी। फंक्शन एज इट्स किडनीज ऑफ द अर्थ। तो किसके जैसे फंक्शन करते हैं? ये किडनीज ऑफ अर्थ के जैसे, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। एज एक्वेटिक प्लांट्स एब्जॉर्ब हेवी मेटल्स एंड एक्सेस न्यूट्रिएंट्स। अदर फंक्शंस क्या है? न्यूट्रिएंट साइक्लिंग है और कार्बन सिक्वेस्ट्रेशन है। अब रामसर कन्वेंशन के बारे में पढ़ते हैं। रामसर कन्वेंशन क्या है? एन इंटर गवर्नमेंटल ट्रिटी है फॉर कंजर्वेशन एंड वाइज यूज ऑफ वेटलैंड्स एंड देयर रिसोर्सेज, adopted at Ramsar, Iran in 1971 and came into force in 1975. India became a party in 1982. List of wetlands of international importance or Ramsar list contains wetlands which hold significant value for humanity as a whole. अब रामसर लिस्ट के बारे में पढ़ेंगे। Wetlands in the Ramsar list meet at least one of the 9 criteria as defined under the conventions. Contracting parties are expected to manage their Ramsar sites to maintain their ecological character. अब उसमें एक इम्पॉर्टेंट है मॉन्ट्रिएक्स रिकॉर्ड। ये PYQ में आ चुका है कि मॉन्ट्रिएक्स रिकॉर्ड क्या चीज़ से एसोसिएटेड है। तो रामसर साइट्स वेयर चेंजेस इन इकोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर हैव ऑकर्ड, आर ऑकरिंग और आर लाइकली टू ऑकर एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजिकल डेवलपमेंट्स, पॉल्यूशन और अदर ह्यूमन इंटरफेस। Lok-tak Lake in Manipur and Kevladev Ghana National Park in Rajasthan are included into it. तो Lok-tak Lake और Kevladev Ghana। Tamil Nadu has maximum Ramsar sites followed by उत्तर प्रदेश। ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। तो सबसे ज़्यादा रामसर साइट्स कहाँ हैं? तमिलनाडु में, फॉलोड बाय उत्तर प्रदेश। अब अदर वेटलैंड्स इन न्यूज़, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, यहाँ से PYQs आते हैं। मतलब हर साल अलग अलग लेक किसी न किसी फॉर्म में पूछा जाता है। तो सबसे पहले लद्दाख में देखो पेंगोंग सो लेक एंड एंडोरिक लेक, मतलब लैंड लॉक्ड लेक है। वर्ल्ड्स हाईएस्ट सॉल्ट वाटर लेक है। 1/3 ऑफ द लेक लाइज इन इंडिया। सिर्फ 1/3 इंडिया में है, बाकी चाइना में है। चेंजेस कलर एट डिफरेंट टाइम्स। क्या होता है? ये चेंज कलर करता है, मतलब कलर चेंज करता है अलग अलग टाइम में। नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ इंडस बेसिन, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ इंडस रिवर बेसिन, ठीक है। नेक्स्ट है बिहार, तो कन्वर लेक, दैट इज कबरताल लेक, अ फ्रेश वाटर नेचुरल वेटलैंड है, ड्रॉज वाटर फ्रॉम कॉन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ गंडक, बाया एंड करही रिवर। तो ये नेचुरल वेटलैंड है, फ्रेश वाटर वेटलैंड है, बिहार की फर्स्ट रामसर साइट है और इम्पोर्टेंट स्टॉप ओवर अलॉन्ग सेंट्रल एशियन फ्लाईवे। अब सुंदरबन मैंग्रोव के बारे में देखते हैं। वर्ल्ड्स लार्जेस्ट मैंग्रोव इकोसिस्टम, नेम्ड आफ्टर द स्पीसीज हेरिटेरिया फेम्स नोन एज सुंदरी ट्री इन बंगाली, located on the world's largest delta of Ganges, Brahmaputra and Meghna river. अब पुलिकट लेक के बारे में देखते हैं आंध्र प्रदेश में, located at the border of Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, second largest brackish water lake है in India after Lake Chilika in Odisha. Sriharikota Island separates lagoon from Bay of Bengal. ठीक है, fed mainly by rivers Kalangi and Arani. कौन से रिवर? कलांगी एंड अरानी, सपोर्ट्स लार्जेस्ट कॉन्ग्रीगेशन ऑफ फ्लेमिंगोस। ठीक है, अब अदर रिलेटेड न्यूज़ में देखते हैं। यूनाइटेड नेशंस वाटर कन्वेंशन स्प्रिंग इनिशिएटिव, UN backed framework principles for responsible investment has launched Spring, a new initiative to halt or reverse nature loss by 2030. Spring initiative क्या है? Supported by a coalition of 200 investors managing a combined $15 trillion in assets. Objective क्या है? To address systematic risk of nature loss to societies and long-term portfolio value creation by enhancing corporate practices on forest loss and land degradation. Shallow aquifer management. SAM pilot models are recently launched in Telangana. Shallow aquifer management. ये क्या है? It is a sustainable urban water management technique. It involves drilling shallow water bore wells to pump out water. The underneath layers are recharged during rainfall, causing rise in water tables. It is a part of Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation Scheme of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. तो ये क्या है? अमृत स्कीम का पार्ट है। SAM अमृत क्या है? Shallow Aquifer Management. It is a part of Amrut scheme of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program. National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program aims to characterize aquifers and develop plans for groundwater management. अब FishMIP initiative क्या है? ये important है. According to the FishMIP, global projections of exploitable fish biomass shows a more than 10% decline. ठीक है, अब FishMIP initiative क्या है? Genesis क्या है? Fisheries and Marine Ecosystem Model Inter-Comparison Project was launched in 2013. Global Network. It is an international network of more than 100 marine ecosystem modelers and researchers around the world. Relations with UN. It is working with FAO to understand the long-term impacts of climate change on marine ecosystem and fisheries. FishMIP 2.0 established in 2024 to increase the reliability of modeling projections. Up terms and news. Plankton crash. Noctiluca scintillans, a type of phytoplankton, turn a red color when in large numbers experienced a crash. Oh, okay. Leading to the release of colored pigment from their cells. These pigments then stuck to rocks and seafloor, forming a biofilm-like layer and causing red tides. तो क्या हुआ? वो red color में turn हो गया, जिससे red tides आ गई, मतलब जिसको बोला गया red tides. Plankton crashes happen due to lack of nutrients or lack of CO2 in the earlier part of production cycle. Plankton may also die later in the cycle due to sudden change in water quality. Gape limitation क्या होता है? Concept in ecology which refers to the physical constraint in the size of prey that a predator can consume. Okay. तो physical constraint on the size of prey that a predator can consume. तो ये okay, it is an important term. ठीक है, तो ये physical constraint है. This limitation is primarily determined by the size of predator's mouth or gape. इसी को हम बोलते हैं gape. ये important term है, मतलब कि एक species इतने ही size का कोई चीज खा सकता है. Hence, small predators can eat only small prey, while bigger predators can eat larger prey. Importance of gape limitation: shaping food webs, drives adaptation, regulates predator-prey balance, predicts environmental changes. Megafauna क्या होता है? It describes animals above a certain weight threshold, generally above 50 kg. Megafauna can be classified based on their dietary type as mega herbivores, that is plant eaters, mega carnivores, meat eaters, and mega omnivores who eat both plants and meat. Anthropogenic pressures on megafauna since the late Pleistocene have resulted in dramatic losses, especially in the mega herbivores and mega carnivores. Some extinct megafaunal species include woolly mammoths, saber-toothed tigers, giant sloths. Stromatolites क्या होते हैं? They refer to a range of communities that are associated with layers of rocks. They are primarily responsible for the great oxygenation event which changed the composition of atmosphere by introducing oxygen. They are typically relegated to extreme environmental niches, thus are found rarely and are sparsely scattered across the globe. Recently, the first discovery of living shallow marine stromatolites was found in Middle East near the Red Sea. तो कहाँ पे? Near the Red Sea. The next topic is environmental DNA. eDNA is the organismal DNA that is released in the environment from cellular material shed by organisms into aquatic or terrestrial environments. eDNA is increasingly being used to detect the presence of species and excess biodiversity in an ecosystem. Unlike conventional methods, eDNA approach is reliable and accurate and can be done at a low cost. This information can be used to inform the IUCN Red List of threatened species and other conservation tools. Next topic is speciation. A speciation is a lineage splitting event that produces two or more separate species. अभी क्या है? Lineage splitting event that produces two or more separate species. This process generates biodiversity. Mode of speciation: allopatric, peripatric, parapatric, and sympatric. So first is allopatric. Allopatric means new species formed from geographically isolated population. तो new species बनती है जो geographically isolated population है उनसे. अब peripatric क्या है? New species formed from a small population isolated at the edge of a larger population. Parapatric, new species formed from a continuously distributed population. Sympatric, new species formed within the range of ancestral population. It can happen even when population live in the same area without geographical barriers. Asiatic lion and Bengal tigers coexisted for so long in the subcontinent due to some sympatric speciation. Bioluminescence. It is the property of an organism to emit light. Light emitted is produced by energy released from enzyme catalyzed oxidation reaction in an organism. It requires two unique chemicals, luciferin and either luciferase or photoprotein. Spectral range of light emission of bioluminescent organisms span from blue to red light. Species exhibiting bioluminescence are sponges, jellyfish, hedgehog, worms, sea walnuts, fireflies, fungi, bacteria, deep sea shrimps, etc. Functions of bioluminescence: counter illumination, camouflage against predatory animals. Factory farming. Factory farming refers to a system of raising livestock and poultry in high density facilities under controlled conditions to maximize production efficiency and output of dairy products at lower cost. Impacts of factory farming: antibiotic resistance, zoonotic diseases, environmental degradation, health, etc. Woody encroachment. It is the increase of tree and shrub cover and is widespread across most ecosystems. It entails the conversion of open habitats to habitats with greater tree cover and or shrub density. It results in homogenization of an ecosystem, making a diverse multi-layered ecosystem turn into a uniform layer of woody plants. It occurs in open ecosystems like savanna and grassland and reduces native grassland birds. Green water and blue water. Green water refers to the moisture in soil and vegetation. ये important term है, ये कभी पूछा नहीं गया, but it is important. Green water refers to moisture in soils and vegetables. Part of hydrologic cycle. Green water is absorbed by roots, used by plants and released back to the atmosphere through process of transpiration. It is vital for generating rainfall, mitigating climate change, etc. Blue water is about encompassing surface and groundwater found in lakes, rivers and reservoirs. Blue water is recharged by precipitation. Okay. तो जो ग्रीन वाटर है वो ट्रांसपिरेशन के प्रोसेस से एटमॉस्फेयर में जाता है और ब्लू वाटर रिचार्ज होता है प्रिसिपिटेशन से. अब ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस एंड न्यूज़, इससे PYQs आते हैं काफ़ी सारे. फर्स्ट इज साइट्स, कन्वेंशन ऑन इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड इन एंडेंजर्ड स्पीसीज ऑफ वाइल्ड फौना एंड फ्लोरा. इसका हेडक्वार्टर कहाँ है? जेनेवा, स्विट्जरलैंड में. It is an internationally legally binding agreement between governments to ensure that international trade in specimens of wild animals and birds do not threaten the survival of the species. Genesis क्या है? Drafted in 1963 following an IUCN resolution which came into force in 1975. Parties 184 है, India is a member. CITES Appendices contains list of species accorded different levels or types of protection from overexploitation. CITES Appendix. Appendix 1. Species that are threatened with extinction. International commercial trade is prohibited. Appendix 2. Species that are not currently threatened but may become so without controlled trade. Trade requires an export permit or re-export certificate. No import permit is generally needed. Appendix 3. Species are listed at a party's request to prevent unsustainable or illegal exploitation. Trade requires appropriate permits or certificates. Reports or indices जो CITES रिलीज करता है, CITES Rosewords, The Global Picture Report, World Wildlife Trade Report. नेक्स्ट है इंटरनेशनल यूनियन फॉर कंजर्वेशन ऑफ नेचर. इसका हेडक्वार्टर है ग्लैंड, स्विट्जरलैंड में. IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, is the first global environmental organization focused on nature conservation and sustainable resource use. Genesis is established in 1948. Membership: governments, NGOs, and research institutions. Objective: promotes biodiversity conservation, sustainable development, and influences environmental policy globally. Key initiatives: IUCN Green List recognizes effective conservation areas, World Conservation Congress, Global Platform for Conservation Dialogue, and nature-based solution, uses nature to tackle challenges like climate change. Reports and indices. Agriculture and conservation. Explores complex relationship between agriculture and conservation. Key findings. Agriculture directly threatens 34% of species assessed on the IUCN Red List of threatened species. About 17% of the species on IUCN Red List have agriculture documented as a habitat. Protected Planet Report भी ये रिलीज करता है IUCN, evaluates protected area effectiveness, nature-based solutions for climate change, promotes nature in climate solutions. Next है वर्ल्ड वाइल्ड लाइफ फंड. इसका हेडक्वार्टर है ग्लैंड, स्विट्जरलैंड में. An international non-profit organization working in nearly 100 countries. Aim: to develop and deliver innovative solutions that protect communities, wildlife, and places in which they live. Genesis, established in 1961 as World Wildlife Fund at IUCN's headquarters in Morges, Switzerland. Renamed as World Wildlife Fund for Nature in 1985. WWF India established as a charitable trust in 1969. Organizes worldwide movement Earth Hour. तो Earth Hour important है, ये कौन ऑर्गेनाइज करता है? वर्ल्ड वाइल्ड लाइफ फंड. Genesis 2007 में started as a Lights Off movement in Sydney. Observed every year in March in country's local time. अब report and indices. Living Planet Report निकालता है IUCN. Living Planet Report निकालता है World Wildlife Fund. Key findings क्या है? Wildlife population decreased by 73% over the last 50 years, 1970 से 2020. Freshwater population have suffered heaviest declines, followed by terrestrial and marine population. Adopting India's consumption patterns worldwide would need less than one Earth by 2050. ये finding है उसकी. अब the next topic is climate change. उसमें अपन पढ़ेंगे nationally determined contributions. तो nationally determined contribution में India's nationally determined contributions. Each party to the Paris Agreement is required to establish an NDC and update it every 5 years. कितने साल में update करना होता है? Update it every 5 years. India submitted its first NDC in 2015, updated in 2022. Quantitative targets for 2030. Target parameter: reduce the emission intensity of its GDP from 2005 level. तो previous हमने 2015 में बोला था 33 से 35%. अभी हमने updated में बोला है by 45%. और अभी तक progress क्या हुई है? Achieved, reduced by 33% between 2005 to 2019. Cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy. तो हमने पहले बोला था 40%, अब हमने बोला 50%. तो अचीव्ड हमने कितने परसेंट कर लिया? 43.81% अक्टूबर 2023 तक. Create additional carbon sink through additional forest and tree cover. 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent बोला था और अभी भी हमने उसको सेम रखा है, उसके ऊपर कोई प्रोग्रेस रिपोर्ट नहीं आई है. Note: India in its updated NDC 2022 has included a component of mass movement for life, lifestyle for environment as a key to achieving one of its qualitative targets. Related concept: India's Panchamrit. India committed 5 climate actions as Panchamrit in Glasgow COP26. First है reach 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity by 2030. Second है meet 50% of its energy requirements from renewable energy by 2030. Third is reduction of total projected carbon emission by 1 billion ton from now to 2030. Fourth is reduction of carbon intensity of the economy by 45% by 2030 over 2005 level. Fifth is achieving the target of net zero emission by 2070. India's long-term low carbon development strategy. LTLDCs are submitted to UNFCCC. India submitted it in 2022 mentions that financial resources will be required to install renewable power plants, upgrade the transmission grid, and introduce energy storage systems, etc. Next topic, we will study international conferences, conventions, and initiatives. In that, first we will study UNFCCC COP29. COP29 of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was held in Baku. तो COP29 कहाँ हुआ था? Baku, Azerbaijan, ending with the Baku Climate Unity Pact and various agreements. अब हम देखते हैं कि COP क्या होता है. COP is the UNFCCC's highest decision-making body, where UNFCCC members annually review climate progress and negotiate commitments. COP30 will occur in Belém, Brazil in November 2025. First COP meeting was held in Berlin, Germany 1995. अब की आउटकम्स ऑफ COP29, ये अभी तक ये क्वेश्चन पूछा नहीं गया है, बट ये सब नया है. अभी हम देखते हैं इसमें से क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है. न्यू कलेक्टिव क्वांटिफाइड गोल ऑन क्लाइमेट फाइनेंस और बाकू फाइनेंस गोल्स. अब इसमें डिटेल क्या है. गोल्स फॉर फाइनेंसिंग क्लाइमेट एक्शन इन डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज, तो है ट्रिपल फाइनेंस टू USD 300 बिलियन एनुअली बाय 2035. प्रीवियस गोल था 100 बिलियन. Efforts to mobilize $1.3 trillion annually by 2035 from public and private sources. Carbon markets and Article 6. Finalized the rules for Article 6 related to international carbon market of the Paris Agreement. Transparency. All transparency negotiating items concluded, including enhanced transparency framework. ETF establishes a system for countries to report on their on their climate actions, including GHG emissions, mitigating and adaptation efforts, etc. First submissions of biennial transparency reports by 13 countries under the Paris Agreement. Biennial transparency reports are the regular reports submitted by the countries under ETF. Baku Declaration on on Global Climate Transparency, or the Baku Global Climate Transparency Platform, launched to support the full implementation of ETF. Adaptation. Launched the Baku Adaptation Roadmap to advance implementation of adaptation as per Article 7 of the Paris Agreement, and Baku High-Level Dialogue on Adaptation to enhance UAE framework for global climate resilience implementation. Establishing a support program for implementing national adaptation plans for least developed countries. National adaptation plans are comprehensive documents outlining a country's medium and long-term strategies and priorities for adapting impacts of climate change. Indigenous peoples and local communities adopted the Baku Work Plan and renewed the mandate for facilitative working group of the local communities and indigenous peoples platform. This was established at COP24 in Katowice to further operationalize LCIPP. Implementation of the work plan will begin in 2025 with 3 focus areas: knowledge exchange, capacity building for engagement, integrating diverse values and knowledge systems into climate policies. Gender and climate change. Extended the enhanced Lima work program on gender and climate change for another 10 years. Lima work program on gender established in COP 2014. At COP25, parties agreed a 5-year enhanced Lima work program on gender and gender action plan was launched. अब क्या क्या issues pending रह गए हैं? Deadlock on mitigation work program. Divisions permit over fossil fuels rule, with the global stocktake assessment becoming a point of controversy in measuring climate progress. Next round of nationally determined contribution has been postponed ahead of COP30. About United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Genesis, adopted in 1992 at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro and entered into force in 1994. Headquarter है Bonn, Germany में. Objective क्या है? Stabilize greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere to prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. Membership 198 parties including India. Key agreements क्या क्या है? Kyoto Protocol 1997, binding commitments for developed nations to reduce GHG emissions, or Paris Protocol, Paris Agreement 2015, Global Accord to limit temperature rise below 2 degrees centigrade, aiming for 1.5 degrees centigrade. Key initiatives or declarations launched at COP29. Initiative Reducing Methane from Organic Waste Declaration, launched by UNEP, Convened Climate and Clean Air Coalition. Aim क्या है? Set sectoral target to reduce methane from organic waste. Support the implementation of 2021 Global Methane Pledge launched at COP26. Signatories 35 countries excluding India. ये important है. Methane वाले चीज में इंडिया नहीं है. Representing 47% of the global methane emissions from organic waste. Global Energy Storage and Grids Pledge COP29 की presidency में हुआ था. Sets target for 2030. Deploying 1500 gigawatt of energy storage in the power sector globally, more than 6 times the level of 2022. Global grid deployment goal of adding or refurbishing 25 million kilometers of grid. Green Energy Pledge, Green Energy Zones and Corridors. COP29 presidency in partnership with UNIDO, UNECC, UNESCAPE. Promoting green energy zones for tackling climate change. Green energy zones act as centralized hubs for high-quality variable renewable energy resources, renewable energy infrastructure and storage. Hydrogen Declaration. COP29 presidency. Aim क्या है? Accelerate production and use of clean hydrogen. Non-legally binding document not requiring changes to participating countries' national law. मतलब इसमें कुछ change नहीं लाना है country के law में. Baku Harmonia Climate Initiative for Farmers. COP29 presidency in partnership with FAO. Aim क्या है? Acknowledge fundamental role of farmers as agents of climate action. Hosted by FAO as a part of Food and Agriculture for Sustainable Transformation Partnership. FAST is a multi-stakeholder platform established at COP27 to strengthen quantity and quality of climate finance and in agri-food system. Climate Finance Action Fund. Azerbaijan. Aim क्या है? Support climate projects in developing countries meeting next generation indices to keep within 1.5 degrees centigrade. It will be capitalized with contributions from fossil fuel producing countries and companies across oil, gas and coal. Become operationalized post conclusion of initial fundraising round $1 billion when 10 contributing countries committed as stakeholders. Headquarter है बाकू अज़रबैजान में. Baku Initiative for Climate Finance, Investment and Trade. Dialogue. COP29 की प्रेसिडेंसी में हुआ था. Co-facilitated by UN Trade and Development and UN Development Program. Aim क्या है? Advance national ambitions and actions through utilization of climate finance, investment and trade as per UNFCCC and Paris Agreement. Global Matchmaking Platform. UN Industrial Development Organization. Aim क्या है? Accelerate the decarbonization of heavy emitting industries in emerging and developing economies. Function. Connects industries with technical and financing solutions. Role is single point gateway to raise decarbonization issues. Next है Declaration on Green Digital Action. COP29 presidency with the Climate Technology Center and Network Technology Mechanism and International Telecommunication. Aim है Harnessing digital technologies to accelerate climate action, promote sustainable development, bridge digital divide. Continuity Coalition for Climate and Health. COP29 presidency with UAE, Egypt, UK, Brazil and World Health Organization. To advance the implementation of health commitments from previous COPs and integrate health into climate action. Baku Dialogue on Water for Climate Action. COP29 presidency in partnership with UNEP, UNECE and WMO. Build collaboration between COPs on water and its interplay with climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution and desertification. 1.5 degree Partnership for Action on Climate Transition Program, PACT. United Nations Development Program's Financial Centers for Sustainability. Aim, foster stronger collaboration between the